Hi, I'm Chris Higgins. I'm the director of Best of Five, which is a 5-part documentary series about the Classic Tetris World Championship. What I'm about to show you is a bonus feature that I'm editing right now for that series. And I thought this one was it jumped out at me as a standalone thing that I wanted to show to the whole community, not just people who've bought the movie, because I think there's an interesting discussion here that is relevant today. I want to give you some context about that so we can understand collectively what was going on in this discussion, and then hopefully in the comments below you can tell me what you think and chime in, because I think it is an interesting, relevant piece of history for our community to understand. So here's the setup. This was the after party for the 5th annual CTWC in 2014. This was on October 19th, 2014. I think it's a little bit past 10 p.m. And this was the after party, which was at my house with my wife, Ro, at in our kitchen. And so if you've ever been in my kitchen, this is what it looks like. And at one point we had a bunch of folks in the kitchen all just sort of talking. And suddenly we realized, this conversation probably should be on camera. So we fired up the camera, I grabbed the audio gear, and we went for it. But again, some context there, the after party fit in a kitchen and a living room, right? That's how small this community was at that time. The other really critical thing is, at that time, we knew about 16 documented Maxouts in the whole world, people who had ever done it. And 4 of them are in my kitchen at this moment. So this is a shocking thing, right? We have a quarter of them in that room. And then in the other room, there's another 2 or 3 who are playing Tetris, and hanging out and having a beer. I thought this was a really interesting discussion because the question kind of became, how hard is it to get a Maxout? Because you have Adam Cornelius who's standing there. Adam Cornelius, of course, was an organizer of CTWC at the time and had directed the first documentary, Ecstasy of Order, about that first tournament and how it came about. And Adam had never maxed out and still has never maxed out. So he's asking this question, do you think there's something special in the 4 of you who have maxed out, or could any person off the street, given the proper motivation, could they do it too? And so he offers kind of a thought experiment, a wager, using, pretend money to try to figure that out. And you'll see that in the clip coming up. I also want to just walk you through who's in the room right now. So the Maxout players are Terry Purcell, Steil, Ben Mullen, and Alex Kerr. You also see Vince Clemente, who at the time didn't have a Maxout and mentions that toward the end, but he now does. So in a sense, he's sort of a 5th Maxout player there. And then Adam Cornelius is also talking, and he didn't have a Maxout then and still doesn't. Another critical thing to understand is at the time, almost all the Maxout players were using DAS. The only exception that I know of would be Thor, who was the original hypertapper. Given the 10-year gap between then and now, obviously we've seen the rise of tapping and then rolling, and we've seen the sample size of people who've even attempted to max out grow, exponentially year over year over year. So now we have a different perspective on how difficult is it to go from 0 to max out, right? But at the time, obviously the world was much smaller, right? The overall thing was so contained. But I also remember, as a follower of the community at the time, knowing that we had 16 max out players was enormous, because the growth compared to, 4 years earlier was we had 3, you know what I mean? So there was this explosion at the time of max out players, and we thought the world was enormous, right? So 10 years later, obviously things look a little bit different. And I think that's part of why this is interesting, because you get to see, people like Alex Kerr, who are still in the community and still doing this stuff, offering opinions about NES Tetris and even TGM. So I think it's useful to look at and to kind of debate today what we think and how it's changed and why it has changed. Okay, so I've talked enough. Here's the clip. Enjoy it. There's no edits here. It runs from the beginning to end, and then we cut it off. I'll be back at the end.
The only way you could figure it out is if you literally put $1 million bounty on it. And you said, you took 1,000 random individuals who had never played Tetris, and you said, if you max out within 10 years, I will give you $1 million. How many of those 1,000 people would do it? And you're telling me that all of them would? All 1,000 of them?
Give me 10%. Yeah. I'm saying I'd go upwards. If you have $1 million motivating you to do something, a lot of people will do that.
Yeah.
Especially when they don't have to buy in. There's no risk. All they have to do is spend time playing a game. It's not even hard to get. Yeah, it's just putting time into it. If you could I think 80% of them could do it.
But see, you have a skewed perspective because you have maxed out. So from your perspective, it seems not super hard anymore. I mean, if you take someone who's never played Tetris before and you're saying, how do you learn to play on level 19? Like, do you realize how good at video games you have to be to even play, to even survive on level 19? You know what I mean?
I do.
I think there's some innate DNA thing there to have that level of hand-eye coordination.
I think it has more to do with, like, again, you adapt to whatever situation you're put in front of. You adapt, and I think that there's nothing really fundamentally different about most people's brain speed or their dexterity. I really do think that if they have motivation, they can do it. I think with enough time, you can get used to almost anything. Like, you can do the same thing with breathing, for f***'s sake. Like, you can train yourself to breathe once a minute. It's not, like, healthy, and Tetris isn't healthy either, but, like, you could do it, especially with the right motivation.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Well, it's an optimistic viewpoint.
Well, I think it's all about the hours. Like, you say you want to get training to get over 500K. I think you're probably just not putting enough time into it.
For the record, I can get 500K all the time, just for the record.
Oh, all the time. I didn't say that.
Well, like,
Let's see it. Every day.
No, okay, all I want to say is, if you put $1 million bounty on it, I think 1 out of 10 people max.
I think
that's how hard I think.
I think
1 out of 10.
You can be safe. I'd say half.
Oh boy, I agree with Terry. I think anyone with a brain and 2 hands ultimately could do it.
It's just with proper motivation.
It's a matter of hours, but it's a matter of quality hours too. Because sometimes people get in those ruts where it's just, I'm gonna line on level 9, and those hours aren't anything.
See,
but really working at it.
You guys have a really optimistic view of humanity.
I think it's about mindset, right? I think it's also about the mindset that you have playing the game, and maybe not everyone has the mindset to want to, like maybe they'll just get discouraged. I think that's what most people probably have already. If you put $1 million, maybe more people would put in the attempt to start working on it, but I think some people would just say, oh, I'm never going to do it, and I'm not going to get the $1 million, I might as well, go do something else, and that's going to be most people's sort of mindset towards it. But I think if you have the mindset, I don't think there's anything physically or mentally besides that would necessarily keep you from doing it.
Maybe you guys are talking about aptitude, and Alex and I are talking about, like personality faults would come into play. Like basically the give up is going to come in, and what you guys have, all you guys who maxed out, what you have in common is no give up. There's no give up in you. You kept fighting through those times where it never seemed
$1 million.
But well, I guess I don't know. That's like a really good point. I never thought about that.
So there's multiple aspects of a human. There's the personality faults.
Well, I think that's all the way down to 1 out of 10 with taking that into account.
I say 1 out of 10 people make it. That's how high of a mountain I view it as. So I'm building you guys up.
Oh, that's good.
That's great, but I appreciate it, but it may not be.
We're trying to tear ourselves down.
I think it'd be realistic. I don't think it's really that like.
Let's give these guys their $1 million.
Yeah.
We just need to get like Bill Gates to put up the bounty.
Let's get a Kickstarter going and get $1 million to the first person who learns the max.
I think everybody goes through like the same progression. Like
that could work.
You
would do it.
You go through a stage where you're like lining out and you're not putting up big scores and you just slowly pick up Tetris.
Yeah, I would say though that like NES Tetris is really rough. Like it is one of the more difficult.
I don't know. I've never played any other version.
Yeah, I would say that on the scale of let's take another game that's similar difficulty, the TGM series, Tetris Grandmaster. TGM 1, I think that is definitely anyone. You would still run into the personality problem where some people just would, I don't think I can do this, and they wouldn't. But I think any capable person could get Grandmaster in the first TGM game. And then TGM 2 and NES, or maybe TGM 2, TGM 3, and NES are in the similar level of we only have a handful of each, right? We have 16 NES Maxouts right now that we know of. We have, maybe in the realm of 100 TGM2 Grandmasters, and then there's only 4 TGM3 Grandmasters, and so it's in that same, four using classic rule, So I think it's that same sort of thing, especially the games are getting to that level where they are brutal enough that you need to put in a superior level of effort or dedication to it in order to accomplish it. But if I think about the actual skill that you need, I think that it's something that any person could probably do. But it's the second step is the going ahead and putting in the hours and getting destroyed by the game over and over until you make it to that point.
Well, yeah, it's because 10% inspiration, 90% perspiration is kind of it. because you know you gotta have that sparkle in your eye that for some reason the goal appeals to you, which we're trying to take care of that with $1 million.
Yeah.
But you still have to be the guy who played for a year when your score just wasn't improving, and for some reason you just kept banging your head against that wall. You know?
Figuring out the small things that even though you're not getting like the big score improvement, you're getting like the small consistency improvements until you can put it all together.
Well, that's why I think that's why some of our competitors like Eli are athletes. I think there is a crossover between the mindset of an athlete and the mindset of a Tetris master, because you have no pain, no gain. It actually hurts to get that good.
Yeah, you got to put the work in.
Yeah,
Work out.
True. That is true.
It is like trying to be a distance runner, and it's just pain and pain and pain and no improvement, and then maybe you get better. It's a lot like sports.
Well, we figured it out, you guys. Good job.
Yeah.
All right.
Good job,
$60 million is outside of Nam's car.
Whenever
anyone wants to
any
go
week
get
that
it.
it's not a Monday, you should come out.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Just evening.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, just look how you've progressed over the years. You've gotten better.
You said you were starting at 200 and 300,000, right? And that was like,
I don't even know. I haven't played for like 3 years, but when I was trying hard, I went through a period where I was trying to break through each 100,000 point barrier.
That's how it goes.
And I made it to 400, and then I made it to 500, and then I stopped at 600, and I was stuck trying to get 600 for like a year, and then I quit. Because I'm one of these people with the personality flaw. I have a big dose of give up in my...
Ben, do you remember how
In
long
my
it
mix.
took me to get 900K?
I don't have to give up, man. I'm gonna get it.
You still
I kind of want to take Corn Dog out. It's like a battle between me and Corn Dog.
Well, you still haven't beaten my score, have you?
I got 592.
Oh, then you're better than me, yeah.
Okay, well I want to beat 600. I mean I want
First, it's between you and me first to 600.
first 600, but I'm putting hours in.
I haven't been playing for
This
3
whole
years.
year I played 19 only and didn't even try anything on the 18 or 9 only.
That's what you got. That's part of it. You got to play 19 all the time.
And like I think I got 220 on 19. That's like my high.
Yeah, I think a big thing for me is using DAS on 18 so that when it makes a transition easier. Like because I used to be a tapper on 18, and I think then 19 was like even more different. And I think I'm just trying to use DAS all the time. That's my.
I think the
I have to figure out the data.
just play on 19 strategy is wrong too.
you have to do other things.
Yeah, once you continue to play on 19, you have to have a balance between 18 and 19, and you just kind of lose that 18. So you'll see players that are like coming up to max, like they'll be so good, they'll have such good transitions, and then just be garbage after 19. And so they'll get into this thing where, well, I'm only going to play 19. Well, then they can't transition well. So it's like
That's
you
what
have to play
Josh
both.
said. Josh Tolles was like, now I only get 400,000 as my transition, but then I often, match that or better in my post 19 because I played 19 so much. So he pretty more or less admitted to that problem.
There's a finesse though that you forget on 19. It's just like so frenetic that you forget like the subtlety of the game sometimes. And 18, despite its speed, is much more subtle. Like you have more time to think about particular placements.
Your mind changing in today's tournament was crazy. Like I saw a few times where last second changing your mind on level 18 and managing to get the piece in looked crazy to me. It almost looked like you were trying to do a flip, but you were just changing your mind and just like...
Which is a bad idea, actually.
Oh, 18, I think
18,
you
yeah.
can play.
You can
play
don't do it.
3/4. No, I think I play super high.
It's scary.
If you watch my second game today, I was way up there most of the time, which wasn't
You
good.
tend to play pretty high.
Yeah.
Normally. You Tetris constantly.
Yeah.
The crowd didn't cheer, but Alex had a sweet Z-spin today. Do you remember that one? And no one cheered. I was like, what? Because I've seen people spin for cheer for Z-spins at tournaments, and no one's cheered for your Z-spin.
Was it a dark?
You got robbed, man.
Was it a dark colored?
It might have been the red. So
Okay, because we might not
Oh,
have seen it.
that's probably what it was.
Yeah,
They
Because
didn't
I
see
was
it.
looking at it, I was like, ooh, wow. And then no one cheered. I was like, what?
Because T-spin just sounds so much cooler.
I did a line
What was
spin.
he spin?
Did you do a
I
line
line
spin?
spin to burn a line, and no one was like, eh.
What?
Yeah, you didn't see that?
I missed that.
I line
Nobody
spin.
could see anything.
Yeah, I line
because the
spun
way
to burn a line to get out of a problem, and I was like,
we
cool.
all have to relive the whole thing later.
I cannot wait to rewatch this.
Oh, yeah.
my god, I'm watching them all.
just like rehost the whole thing, like get in a chat room and just like watch
Yeah.
it on Google Hangouts.
We could,
We should all watch it at the same
keep
time
setting
together.
up those EOO chats. Maybe
yeah.
we could have a Twitch rewatch chat day
Yeah.
where we all have a chat room.
That'd be
That'd be cool.
Okay, so that is the great Maxout debate of 2014. And I still, it sticks with me. At the moment it happened, I thought this is an interesting conversation. 10 years later, I think it's much more interesting because it gives you that insight into what the top level players at the time thought about the difficulty of their achievements. If you like this, there is a ton more. There's 5 hours more of this kind of thing in Best of 5, and you can buy it at the link down below. There's a coupon code. Don't forget that. It saves you 20%. If you can't afford that, that's okay. The series will come to YouTube on this channel, so get subscribed for free with ads in a little bit. So that's cool too. The one thing to be aware of is if you buy it, you get bonus features. You get extended interviews, you get all kinds of deleted stuff like extra match, extra, deleted scenes, longer interviews with your key players, and some other videos on this channel that show you some of what that stuff will look like. That stuff, like that extra bonus stuff, that stuff is never going on YouTube. Just the core, 5-episode arc of the tournament. If you like stuff like this, you are the audience that I hope can afford the $20 to go and buy the movie. Anyway, thanks for sticking with me. Appreciate it. Bye.